Hello and welcome back to the channel, Implied Investing. Today we are going to be focused on the S&P 500. Specifically, we're going to be focused on income generating ETFs and how they compared to the S&P 500 over the past year in 2025. Hopefully you guys get some value out of this, but before we jump into the video, let me go ahead and read the legal disclaimers. I am not an investment professional. This is not investment advice. It is for entertainment and education purposes only. Before making any financial decisions, please consult an investment professional. All right, with that out of the way, I think everybody knows that the covered call industry is built on selling your upside for current income. But I may have found an ETF that potentially you may not have to do the trade-off. You may not have to sell your upside for current income. But I'll save that one till a little bit later. But let's go ahead. Right now we're on Seeking Alpha. Let's go ahead and do some comparisons. The sum of the most popular covered call S&P 500 based covered call ETFs. So we're going to use VU as a stand-in for the S&P 500. And we're going to look at SPYI. That's the NEOS fund. We're going to look at GPIX. That is Goldman Sachs Fund, JEPI, JEPI, the one with the most assets under management by JP Morgan. We're going to look at T-SPY by Tapping Alpha. And for fun, we're going to throw in Devo. Devo is more of a defensive ETF, but it largely tracks something similar to the S&P 500. So I'm throwing it in there for good measure. Now, if you look at the charts, just on price return, VU is beating them. Next up would be Devo, had 11% price return, so very decent price appreciation. And then GPIX, 8%, and then SPY, followed by T-SPY, followed by JEPI. But that's not why you invest in covered call ETFs. You invest in covered call ETFs for total return, right? So this is showing you how much you actually got, not just price appreciation. So factor it in the when you factor in the actual income that you gained, these charts start looking a lot better and they get a lot closer to what the S&P 500 did. Did any of them beat the S&P 500? No. The answer is a whopping no. The S&P 500 gave back 20.808%, and the closest cover call ETF got to was 19.69. So a little under half a percent is what it would have gave you. A little under half a percent. I think 0.49 points off, which is not bad. Which is not bad. This is the best bunch. But then you'd have to factor in that 0.77 expense ratio and the your returns become slightly worse. But it's not that bad. Devo gave you a whopping 19.49%, but you also have to factor in that expense ratio of 0.56%. JEPI, the absolute worst performer, GPIX underperformed the market by 2%, and so did SPY. But all very decent performers. They didn't they didn't quite they didn't miss the only person who truly missed the mark was JEPI. But a common theme here is that they underperformed the market. But what did you get for that underperformance? You got dividends. You got money. If you invested in VU, you would have got a yield of 1.1%, which is not much. Not much at all. SPY would have gave you 11%, GPIX 8%, JEPI 8.10%, T-Spot 13.66, and Devo 6.32. I think that T-Spy, if you're truly income focused and you're not too focused on capital appreciation, price appreciation, T-Spot is a really good option, and so is Devo. Just looking at how they compared to the underlying, they almost performed the exact same way as the underlying and gave you very good distributions. So I think in the introduction, I mentioned that there is an ETF that you don't have to sacrifice price or performance. Actually, I'm gonna take that back. You're gonna sacrifice something. You're gonna sacrifice either you're gonna beat the market or you're going to make money in cover call world. Devo intends to try to do that because they don't hold exactly the S&P 500. They hold a basket about 30 to 40 stocks similar to the S&P 500, but they're defensive in nature. These are dividend paying stocks. QDevo, which I think is based off of, I've read competing information based off of the Nasdaq and or VOOG as its underlying. It could potentially outperform, but unfortunately it didn't. But that's outside the scope of this video. Let's go ahead and get to the one ETF that produced more income and better total returns than the S&P 500. And what is it? None other than OVL by Liquid Strategies. I know probably none of you have heard of this ETF, so I'm proud to introduce it to you. OVL holds the S&P 500, and unlike covered call ETFs, it does put credit spreads. Put credit spreads are uncapped, and you're selling a short put and a long put, which defines your risk, and they pay out the income. I mean, they pay out the spread. The spread creates a net credit, and they pay that spread to you. So let's take a quick look at OVL's holdings. Okay. Yep. Here we go. Taking a quick look at their holdings. So 99% of the fund is in Vanguard's S&P 500 ETF. 99%, 99.95%. The rest of it they use for their put credit spread options. And these are pretty short dated puts. Um, this one expires on the 16th. This one expires on the 20th. And these one expire on the 26th. So they kind of have a laddered approach. It looks like these options are bought 1 to 2 weeks. I can't say whether or not they're going to expiration or enrolling them, but I can say that they are relatively close to the money. To date, today is October 14th. I'm sorry, January 14th, and they're like very, very close to the money. So I'm imagining they're rolling them. We'll take a deeper dive into how they're writing their options, but for now, let's take a look at the prospectus. So when you're analyzing any prospectus, the best thing to do is to go to the principal investment strategy. This is how you're going to learn what the fund does. We'll just read this section right here. The fund overlay strategy seeks to generate income for the fund by using a put spread consisting of the sale exchange exchange listed short put options with a notional value. So I'll just go ahead and they're doing put credit spreads. So here's their short put, and they're going to do a long put right here at a lower strike price. This creates the net credit, and that's what gives you your premium. Now, this part is important, that the sale of exchange listed short term put options. So they're not doing put credit spreads on VU. They're not doing it on an actual ETF. They're doing it on the exchange. What's the benefit of the exchange? You get 60/40 treatment if you do it on the exchange. And it also operates on European rules, which means that you can't be assigned early. It, it, it also is cash secured. So if the market goes below their strike prices, they're just going to have to pay out cash. Um, what else is interesting about this? On page 4, what you'll find is the return of capital risk. So a lot of the fund expects to make monthly distributions regardless of performance. So if they don't make enough money through their option strategy, for tax purposes, it will be listed as return of capital. And return of capital, if you don't know, is not necessarily return of principal, although sometimes it can be, but it does lower your tax basis for the shares that you purchased. It's a form of, it's not necessarily tax loss harvesting, but it is a tax designation that will lower how much you pay. Now, you will have to pay taxes when you actually sell the shares, but for now, it'll just lower your overall tax basis. So we know that this fund pays monthly. We know that this fund uses a put credit spread option strategy on the S&P 500. SPX is its actual name, and it holds VU. So let's go back to the website and take a look at its, and we'll find it. We'll find it here. Let's go back to Seeking Alpha and just get rid of all of these other symbols. These are my guy. They're excellent funds, excellent companies, but they underperformed the S&P 500. OVL, on the other hand, let's see what it did. Oh man, it underperformed the S&P 500 in price return. In price return, it underperformed the S&P 500. But we switch over to total return and look at that. Look at that. Beat the S&P 500. An income generating ETF beat the S&P 500. Not by much, by 1%, 1.1%, 1.01%, but it beat it. Take that, Ben Felix. No, don't take that, Ben Felix. Ben Felix is a great uh, financial influencer, but he talks about the income generating funds and how they can't beat the S&P 500. But this one did. And this thing does come with a pretty hefty expense ratio. So while you're looking at this number right here, how much it outperformed 21.09, you also need to subtract an additional 7.9 0.79%. You'll still beat VU, but it won't be by truly that much. Because this is the expense ratio that you're putting, that the fund charges to run this option strategy. Now this is over the 1 year. Let's start small and build up. So over the 5 day, which really doesn't give you any information, VU is winning. Over the 1 month, OVL is winning. Over the 6 month, OVL is winning. Year to date, mind you, the year just started, but OVL is winning. Over the 1 year, which we originally started looking at, it's winning by 1%. Over the 3 year, it's winning. It's winning by a whopping almost 5%. Almost 5%. It's beating the S&P 500. Now, it hasn't been out for 5 years, so we don't really have. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, it has been out for 5 years, and it beats it by 1% over the 5 year. It hasn't been out for 10 years, so you don't have data going back that far. But over the 5 year, the 3 year, the 1 year, the time frames that matter, the 6 month, it has it's been victorious, and this is the one income generating fund that beat the S&P 500. Now, let's see what you're giving up. You are giving up those incredible yields that the other funds have. The other funds, none of them are below 5. Even Devo gives you back 6%. But this, you get 3. You get a solid 2.93%. I'm rounding up to 3 compared to the S&P 500, which gives you 1.1%. So I know a lot of fans of high yield cover call ETFs are saying, "Oh man, it beats the S&P 500, but what am I going to do with this tiny yield?" Here's how I would put this in a portfolio. If you like the put credit spread strategy that it's doing, if you like receiving more money, it's not much more money. If you hold a large VU position, if you already hold a large VU position as maybe the core of your portfolio, OVL, you may be able to shave off anywhere from 10 to 20, maybe even up to 30% of your VU holding. and put it in OVL. If you, it'll that way it'll produce monthly income, right? It'll produce monthly income and it will outperform historically, it will outperform the S&P 500. Not by much, not by much, but it will produce monthly income and outperform the S&P 500. That's how I would use it in my portfolio. I'm not sold on it yet. I'm pretty happy with VU and OVL may not make sense for my portfolio because I could easily see a situation where um either the strategy fails because the fund manager doesn't do something correctly, places his strikes too close to the money. Oh, hang on one second. Let's take a look at where they actually place their strike prices. So this right here is how far out of the money they place their strike prices. So they are very close to the money. They are 0.65% away from the money. And they place this is where their short strike price is. And then their long strike price is much further out of the money. So it's about a 200-point spread, which is really good. It offers a lot of protection, but being that close to the money is dangerous. If you have a black swan event, this fund is going to get wiped out. And that could potentially be very damning. But if 2026 is anything like 2025 and and the markets just go on a tear, well, that's not anything to worry about. And these options look like they're placed probably no, not probably. About 1 to 2 weeks expiration days to expiration, and then I can't say for sure whether or not they roll them or let them come to expirations, but most professional traders would roll the option before expiration. So if it's 2 weeks to expiration, they'll probably roll them after the first week or maybe 10 days into the trade, they'll go ahead and roll it. But these things are very close to the money. 200-point spreads and 1 to 2 weeks to expiration date. Okay, back to where this could fit into a portfolio. I- if you want monthly income and you're not soup and you have a huge VU position, I could see you doing this. I could see somebody doing this. But I think that there are covered call ETFs, especially if you want more money from your investments. You could take some VU. You could take some T Spy and you would get higher distributions. Part of the reason an investor like myself uses covered call ETFs is because I use the income from those funds to boost up other funds. So I wouldn't put this on a DCA. I wouldn't put this on a dollar cost average. What I would do is probably if I were to get it, and I might get it. If I were to get it, I may use a dividend from like a weekly payer such as blocks and maybe just take 2 weeks worth of income, buy a little bit of this, and then the income that it produces, I would reinvest into OVL. It would have to sustain itself. I wouldn't put it on a DCA. So that is I'm gonna go ahead and sign off right here. That is my review of OVL. It is the one income generating ETF that beats the S&P 500. Now, it beats it by sacrificing a lot of those high yields that we all like, but it does beat it. So tell me what you think. Is this something you're thinking about adding to your portfolio? Why or why not? Please like, subscribe, hit the bell button so you can get notified whenever I drop a video. I drop videos almost daily, uh, and if people are interested, I can continue to drop videos daily. Leave a like, subscribe, and a comment letting me know what ETF you would like me to review next. Thank you, and God bless.